Being in your 20s is very unique, you know? Like, it's a big path that you have to kind of learn a lot of stuff along the way, but it's honestly a big stage of life because it's your first stage of adulthood. But today, guys, I want to talk about how being in my 20s pushed me to do better and how you can as well. Now, when I was a teenager or even a young adult, I've mentioned a few times that I was a big procrastinator in my life, you know? Like, I used to be able to procrastinate on every little thing, including eating, you know? Like, I used to not be able to feed myself. It was that bad. Now, a lot of us have had some habits like this as teenagers and stuff, but the biggest problem was I was not really taught any type of discipline when I was younger, to the point where I did not actually have any type of goals or ambitions in life. I was a huge dreamer with everything that I wanted because I used to dream about wanting a YouTube channel as a teenager, but I would never try to act on it until later in life, which is actually a good thing. Some of it was due to, lack of equipment and stuff, but most of it was just lack of drive and ambition. But once I kind of tried it and everything and actually got around to finally doing it after many years of procrastinating, it really did actually change my perspective on things about how this is actually a lot more work at first than I really thought. At first, I didn't know if I would really like it in the long run, but honestly, I actually do love doing this a lot, dude. It's actually really fun once you get it all learned and paid off, and it's okay to keep learning on new things. It's just it gets easier along the way. Another huge thing that I used to be like when I was younger as a kid and teenager is I used to not be very good at listening to people at all, you know. I used to think I used to have this know-it-all personality trait a little bit. When I was younger, I used to think that I don't need to learn from anybody else but myself, you know. I had this trait where I just didn't think that anyone would also give me the proper knowledge for me to do better. It was really sad looking back because, I just thought I could just figure it all out on my own because I was a very independent person when it came to doing stuff to fixing things, tutorials and whatnot. And I just really did not like asking for help. And this was a long time ago. What kind of changed my perspective in my 20s about this is that I decided to start, doing some proper criticism without getting upset, because there's a lot of people who have this problem where a lot of people will get upset with proper criticism on YouTube channels or anything else like that. Now, I do know that the content on the channel, videos I make are not perfect, but holy fuck, dude. Some of the criticism I did get that was actually genuine and not hateful actually did help me out in the long run. Because if you didn't have this type of criticism that was accepted in your mind a little bit to try to help yourself out, I would not know where I would be today without it, to be honest. Even if somebody is younger than you, if someone has more knowledge than you on something, dude, I will say is if they can actually genuinely help you, I would say listen to them. Because there's a lot of people that also struggle with helping or listening to other people that's younger than them because for some odd reason, a lot of people got a big ego when it comes to things like that. Since some people are programmed and conditioned to think that just because someone's younger than you, that they're instantly lower than you. And it's actually kind of ridiculous because I know many people in my life that are a bit younger than me but have more knowledge than me on many things, and a lot of them have taught me a lot of things as well. I'm forever grateful for it because everyone is human and we all have to learn things, and were raised a different way a little bit. Some of us were raised self-sufficiently and some were not. Another huge thing that really changed in my 20s from now was I used to be very impatient, and yes guys, you can undo this. A lot of people do believe that they can't undo being impatient, but bro, it really is a skill that you could teach yourself. And how I did that was I started, when I was starting getting impatient about certain things, I would try to tell myself, hey, take your time, slow down, it will get better. Now, obviously, this is easier said than done. It took a lot of undoing just in order to get where I need to be with it, because in order to be patient in life or with anything to achieve, you got to know and realize is that if you want something that's long term that might take a long time to achieve and get, you're just going to have to accept the fact that it's going to take in a lot of work and a lot of grind, And that's another thing that really did get me really confused when I was younger was things felt a lot worse and a lot more stressful when I was trying to rush everything. But nowadays, when you take it a little bit more step back and just slow down, it really does help a lot in terms of goals, success, and just realize that everybody's life is a bit different. So why even rush the goals that you wanted to pursue? Yes, not everyone's going to get the goals at the time that you want, but you know what, dude? There's a lot of things in our lifetime accomplishments that we cannot even achieve under our control. It is very unfortunate sometimes, but you know what, dude? As long as you put in the effort, you're patient, and you don't give up on a lot of things, you will eventually see results. It took me about, 10 years on my YouTube to kind of figure shit out to see what's stuck and what not. Man, it ain't just YouTube either. It could be just with anything. And especially like you could apply this to like college. You could apply this to like, lifetime business goals or accomplishments. As long as you just keep learning, something will happen eventually. I do know that. Another really bad thing that I used to do when I was younger was my time management skills were extremely bad. Like, we all kind of don't realize how bad our time management skills are until we get older, you know? When you actually have to do errands or get things done, you realize, damn, I really need to speed this up or get more shit done, you know? That's what it kind of feels like in adulthood. But yes, when I was younger, my time management was bad. And when I first moved out, I kind of realized this and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to figure this shit out because I remember when I was in my early 20s, I was working 3 jobs. It was working as a package handler at FedEx the first time and working at another job at a grocery store, Hy-Vee, and then I was making YouTube videos so I could at least pursue my passion and dream. It was a lot back then and it was a bit of a hassle, but that time management was like kind of crazy looking back because I had to really be disciplined almost every day just in order to get this shit done. Because if it was one day I was working at one job, the other day I was working at a different one, and then when I finally got a day off, I did make a YouTube video and just wing for it because I usually think of ideas when I'm at work. That's the best part about brainstorming is once you get kind of good at doing YouTube video idea stuff, you get really good at brainstorming in your head while you're working or something. Like, I can't really describe it, but it is that feeling in your head while you're like working that you can brainstorm while you do it. I don't know if it's like a hidden skill or talent for YouTubers, but that's how a lot of YouTubers are able to get videos out pretty damn quickly sometimes. Because sometimes, bro, like when you're in the shower or when you're at work and you're just getting stuff done while just randomly thinking about video ideas, it just kind of hits you while you're at work. And that's how a lot of my video ideas kind of go. Nowadays, I don't usually do that. Like, I usually just work and then I just, make videos on the side. And I find it a bit easier, but I still manage my time to do other things like, chores and all that shit too, or errands. Just whatever you need to do as an adult. But once you kind of get used to it, dude, you kind of thank yourself later for it because unfortunately in this damn world that you can't just, let things happen for you. You just got to be able to get up and do it yourself. It really does suck sometimes, but it's worth it. To get better at time management in general, all you got to do is sometimes just force yourself to do something a little bit quicker. I know it's kind of rough and it's not going to be easy in the beginning, but it is kind of a change of habits to tell your brain like you got to do this now. It's kind of crazy, but you can do it. You just got to be able to just force yourself. Just don't go too crazy with it, obviously, but it's definitely rewarding once it starts naturally happening to you on a more natural level. Another thing I used to do when I was really young before I started my 20s, because I started my job and working at 18, was I would spend my money on stupid ass shit all the time, Like, I would spend my money on actual, like knickknacks, webcams, electronics. Like, I was a kid still, but it was like, kind of a waste of money looking back because there's a lot of stuff now that I don't even use, and I could have just used that or saved some of that more when I was living at home. Because the problem is with a lot of people, including me, is that, like I've realized, is living at home and then trying to save your money is like a huge deal if you can. But a lot of us just spend it recklessly, and I had that problem too. I just could not discipline myself to save any type of money whatsoever when I was living at home, back when I was 19 to 20-ish era. Now, if I were to do things a little differently, if I had a stable home environment again with my parents, then yeah, I would probably just save all the money. But I'm kind of glad that I do all that in my 20s because if you really want to make your life easier and better, definitely limit your spending habits when you can and live within your means. Nowadays, I may be broke, but at least right now, but at least I spend all my money on important things to get things paid. Being broke and having your bills paid is way better than being broke and then being stressed about, being like a couple $1,000s behind on something. One of the worst feelings in the world, I will say. It's really, like, unpleasant as hell. Even though I'm in my 20s still, I'm only 27 years old, I will say this too, is that even though I'm not where I am at financially, I do feel like I did not waste my 20s learning all the stuff that I have learned in general. Because I do feel like, if I did not learn anything in my 20s, because a lot of people just goof off and do whatever since they were 18 or 19, yeah, that would kind of suck looking back because there's a lot of people I do know that are around my age that have done this type of stuff and they wonder why things are so much harder or they wonder how you can get more independent and stuff like that. I know not everyone's going to be resourceful in the long run in their 20s or at all, but man, it's really best to at least try to do some research on the internet or ask friends, dude. Sometimes there's some friends out there that you could have or ask if you have any for some good advice. Not everyone has really knowledgeable or smart friends, but there's some people out there that do have valuable information. Another thing that made me realize too in my 20s is that some of my friends I once thought were cool when I was younger, or usually, we're growing apart, or, they're just not what I thought they were, because some people change over time. And some friends in general, dude, some of them are just not worth having around anymore. Not because they're not going to help, but there's just some people in your life that are just not going to grow with you, unfortunately. And that's what leads to people just outgrowing their old friends. And it's really sad sometimes because some people could be friends with somebody for such a long period of time. And I know some people that's lost their friends too. But the good thing is that there are some friends that will stay in your life from your childhood if they grew with you and stuff like that. It's extremely rare, but it is really cool to have somebody that's still a solid friend in your life that's willing to help you or just enjoy your time, because there's some people nowadays are going to work with you or grow with you. And if you can find that small circle that you could just build around with, it really is valuable and awesome. One thing I've also mastered very well in my 20s because I was such a late bloomer in this department is that I kind of learned how to talk to strangers very well. Now, it does sound kind of silly now, but back then, man, I had so bad social anxiety that I did not know how to talk to anybody at all that I did not know very well. It used to take me a very long time to open up to people, and I was a lot more introverted. Being an introvert is not a bad thing at all. Like, being an introvert will actually give you a lot of peace of mind and give you some time to build your skills and do whatever you want to do in your free time, But man, I do not regret not going out as much as I used to. Like, I definitely have learned a lot for being an introvert when I was younger. Because if I wasn't such an introvert when I was younger, I would probably not learn how to, make videos and stuff like that. But one thing I am grateful about is that I've met so much new people now socializing, and I remember when I didn't have any skills to talk to anyone like girls or anything like that either, because it was really hard for me. I don't know why. Like, I used to think that people were going to think of me as weird or some weird bullshit like that. And another thing too with it is that I was bullied so hard that I got literally my confidence went down the shitter to the point where I thought that there was something generally wrong with me. But now, as in hindsight, there was nothing really wrong with me. It was really them. I've kind of noticed that a lot of these type of bullies and people in our lives, they definitely have a lot of issues that they definitely never got fixed or they need a fix. And sometimes in life, whenever it's family, friends, parents, whatever it is in your life, a lot of these people will give you a life lesson, and some of these people will give you some inspiration of what not to be in your life and what you truly want. It really did help me a lot with what I really wanted to be in my life when I've had crazy parents fucking trying to bring me down and all these negative stigma stuff that they were trying to bring onto me. And it's kind of crazy how much shit you had to go through just in order to kind of realize what the path is being made for you. The reality is that you have to kind of make your own path, and it doesn't even matter what your friends or family think sometimes, because you got to do what's best for you. Even if you do lose those friends or even parents, it is what it is, man. That's just part of life. It's part of growing, and some people have to be uncomfortable and adjust to certain circumstances, unfortunately, in order to grow. The biggest motivator, what made me wanted to do more with my life, especially in my 20s, is that there's so many people in my life that, that were very mediocre or very poor to the point where they're always constantly living paycheck to paycheck. And it's not that I want to be super rich or anything like that. I just honestly just want to be comfortable and have a lot of free time and just make my life basic and simple. So, even if it doesn't involve any children or anything like that, I just want, a nice chill life where I can make the course of whatever path I want to go. Basically do whatever I want, whenever I want. And that does sound very nice. Anyways, everybody, I hope you guys found this video very entertaining, very interesting. Thank you all for listening so much on my last couple videos. I do appreciate the love and support, especially that love on the last video about, modern jobs being a humiliation ritual. Thank you guys so much. If you've gotten this far into the video, just know that life is hard, but you know what? As long as you keep doing things that you want to do in your life, even if it's at your own pace, you're doing a good job. So just remember that, and don't let anyone else think otherwise. I'll see you guys in the next video, and you guys have a good one. Peace out and have a great day.